show 60. Okay. No, are we ready? Mike, you ready? So the board members, please make sure you have your microphones on. We're going to get started. Good. Okay, good evening. It's 6:30 p.m. on Monday, June 22nd, 2026. I'd like to call to order the Village of Brookfield Village Board meeting. Would everyone please join me in a pledge of allegiance to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mike, we have a roll call, please.
Trustee Ketchmark.
Here.
Trustee Whitehead. Not present. Trustee Hendricks.
Here.
Trustee Naramatsu.
Here.
Trustee Gilhooly.
Here.
Trustee Kaluzny.
Here.
President Garvey.
Here. Thank you, Mike. We have a couple of things under appointments and presentations. The first, I'd entertain a motion to reappoint Jen Dowd to the Conservation Commission with the term expiring June 26, 2029.
So moved. Second.
The motion was made by Trustee Kaluzny, second by Trustee Gilhooly. Any questions or comments on the reappointment?
I'll just say that Jen is not here, but that doesn't mean she's not awesome. And she has been really a great asset to the Conservation Commission, worked a lot on the sustainability plan, is continuing to do that as well. And she represents us quite a bit on the C4, the Cross Community Climate Collaborative calls as well. And so we're really excited that she wants to continue serving on the commission.
Any other questions or comments? Could we have a motion, a second? Roll call, please.
Trustee Ketchmark.
Aye.
Trustee Hendricks.
Aye.
Trustee Naramatsu.
Aye.
Trustee Gilhooly.
Aye.
Trustee Kaluzny.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, that's appointment passes. Please thank her for agreeing to serve. Next time I see her, I'll thank her, but we appreciate her signing up again. Okay, the next item, we have a proclamation acknowledging the anniversary of Brookfield's Replica Liberty Bell. Proclamation honoring the 50th anniversary of Brookfield's Liberty Bell. Whereas in 1976, the United States celebrated the bicentennial of our nation's founding and commemorated the enduring ideals of liberty, independence, and self-government embodied by the Liberty Bell. And whereas a part of the nation's bicentennial observance, 100 full-size replicas of the Liberty Bell were made available to communities across the United States, with only 3 placed in Illinois. And whereas Brookfield's Liberty Bell replica was cast by Whitechapel Bell Foundry of London, the same foundry that casted the original Liberty Bell in 1752. And whereas in 1975, a dedicated group of residents formed the Brookfield Bicentennial Committee and undertook a community-wide effort to raise $14,300 necessary to purchase and transport the bell to Brookfield through the sale of commemorative decals and bumper stickers and through the support of local organizations and fundraisers. And whereas, though additional fundraising efforts raised another $15,000 to construct a concrete foundation and a pavilion for the Liberty Bell in Kiwanis Park. And whereas the Liberty Bell arrived in Brookfield on June 28, 1976, and was dedicated on July 4th, 1976, during a ceremonial bell ringing led by United States Congressman Ed Derwinski, marking a proud moment in the village's bicentennial celebration. Whereas for the past 50 years, Brookfield's Liberty Bell has stood as a symbol of patriotism, civic pride, and the power of community coming together to create something meaningful for future generations. And whereas the United States commemorates the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 1776, the Village of Brookfield will rededicate its Liberty Bell during its Independence Day celebration on July 4th, 2026, honoring both our nation's semi-centennial, I can never say that right, the 250th, and the community spirit that brought this remarkable monument to Brookfield a half-century ago. Now, therefore, I, Michael Garvey, President of the Village of Brookfield, on behalf of the Village Board of Trustees and all the residents of the Village of Brookfield, do hereby recognize and celebrate the 50th anniversary of Brookfield's Liberty Bell and commend the members of the Brookfield Bicentennial Committee and all those whose vision, generosity, and dedication made this lasting tribute possible. I further encourage all residents to take pride in this unique piece of Brookfield's history and to join the village on July 4th, 2026, as we rededicate the Liberty Bell and celebrate the enduring ideals of freedom, democracy, and community that it represents, A witness whereof I have here to set my hand and cause the seal of the Village of Brookfield to be affixed this 22nd day of June 2026. And I am going to show my age here, but I was there the day they put it in and they dedicated it. And it's going to be exciting. It's 11:30 on, what time is it? On the 4th of July as the parade ends, and before we have the party in the park, there's going to be a rededication ceremony. If everyone would like to join us right outside of the Liberty Bell at 11:30 a.m. on the 4th of July as we do the formal ceremony. So thank you to staff for arranging that. Okay, that ends the items we have under appointments and presentations. Now I'll open up the meeting to public comment. Is there anyone on this side of the room that has any public comment? Anybody on this side? Okay. Anybody on this side? Is someone, I can't see if you're raising a hand back now. Okay, it's Chris? Okay, yeah. Yeah, two people, okay.
Hello. Chris DiBraccio, 9526 West Ogden. Let's see. First of all, I wanted to put on the record that I never got the required notice on 4021 Blanchard for the pending special use application. I have documentation, 2 valid driver's licenses there showing residency. I FOIA'd addresses. My address is not one of them. I wanted to ask the board to address this notice of defect before voting tonight, and I'm requesting that these documents be entered into the record. Clerk?
You can hand it to me and I'll give them to the village clerk. Thank you.
There you have 2 driver's licenses of the 2 residents above and the FOIA addresses of where the special use notice went to. And somehow my address is not on there.
Okay.
So proper notice wasn't given. So I'm gonna reserve the right to, bring this back up to administration or whatever. I'll continue on with the vote tonight. I want to be clear about what I am and am not arguing tonight. I am not opposed to cannabis use. It's legal in Illinois and has been for some time. My objection, once again, is the specific location for several reasons. First, no redevelopment in the form of luxury apartments and multifamily developments in the back parcels are actually locked in. There is nothing concrete. It's all speculative. It's a conversation. Nothing is binding. No developer has committed to anything on the back parcels, the parcels you guys bought. The only thing that is sure is the dispensary. And this is how we want to kick off. This is how we want to start a redevelopment of the parcels that you guys, let's be honest, it's been 30 years to put these things together. And we could kill it with one vote here by putting a dispensary at the front of it. This matters because I could tell you firsthand why no one's gonna even go to the parcels. No developer's ever gonna develop those. I happen to live in Uptown Luxury Apartments, just over the bridge, 254 units, biggest one around. Every resident signs a no cannabis clause. Every resident signs a non-smoking clause. To be admitted in the apartment complex, you have to sign these. And you ask, why do you have to sign these? Well, because, let's spell it out for you. Cannabis is still federally illegal. These they have to abide by federal law. Well, including HUD, federal housing requirements, lenders. You know, they have to have these signed. So right then, you know, we're hoping to put something right next to something that directly conflicts with something. And I could tell you from living there, it's one of our biggest problems. Now, I don't really care, but we all signed a no cannabis clause. Means you can't use it in your apartment. This is happening to any multifamily unit, any developing. And this is what we were told that was supposed to go there. You were at the meetings, you bought the land, you were told this by staff. Third, I don't think anyone fully understands what this is gonna look like. Obviously, you haven't had one in your village. I don't know if you guys go to them that often or see what they look like. We're just being told with beautiful drawings that exclude houses, exclude telephone poles, exclude, all these drawings that look beautiful, right? But we all know that's not how it's gonna look. But the petitioner has projected $12 million a year in sales. At $70 a person, that's over 460 people a day. With more people on the weekends, I mean, no traffic study has been done on what volume to Ogden Avenue, Blanchard, Du Bois, the alley. I mean, 18 parking spots. On the weekend, I would assume 8 employees take up, 8 spots. I mean, just the math doesn't work. On top of that, every dispensary I'm aware of has to have an armed security guard because it's a heavy cash business. I mean, we were aware of this. This is the look we have. This is what's going to be there. Do we have any other business in town that has an armed security guard? I don't want to hear the zoo because those are police officers. Those are different. Those are qualified police officers at the zoo. We have qualified police officers in our town. I don't know any other place that has armed security guards in town. This one's going to have one there all the time. Heavy cash business, lots of cash there. Just so you guys know, because that's what we're looking at. Several hundred cars a day, inadequate parking, sitting next to residential with no traffic study. Finally, this process feels rushed. The hours proposed for this dispensary have it opening at 10 a.m. on Sunday. Well, I'm sure you guys are aware. I don't know why anyone, but no bar or no liquor store could open at 10 a.m. on Sunday. Why do they get to open at 10 a.m. on Sunday? Is it just rushed? Or is nobody looking close enough, or does nobody care? Because we just want them in here. We want the tax money. 10 a.m. on Sunday, that's in their hours, that's in the report. You guys could look that yourself. 3 bars in town that got ticketed this year for being open before 11 o'clock because they let people in for the Bears game before 11. Just tells me that it hasn't been vetted, and it should be before the final vote today. Earlier, I called this proposal incredibly short-sighted when I spoke at the last meeting. I'll repeat it here. Approving a dispensary on a parcel where nothing else is binding. No other thing is binding. We're going to start with a dispensary. No traffic study. And we haven't even got the hours right. It's a rushed decision this community will be living with for a long time. And I'll leave the board with this. This village held countless meetings. I've been to countless 2020 plans. Energize Ogden. not once heard, oh, we want a cannabis dispensary there. That's what we want there. Our third train station, that's what we should put there. Never. And somehow this is what we're dealing with tonight? This is what we're gonna do? I honestly think if this goes there, you will get nothing else. So you'll be, that's what you'll have. And that's what you want, that's fine. You might as well say you gave up. You gave up on this parcel and everything else around it. Because no other developer is gonna wanna come behind that and the other parcels. I was just gonna leave it with, at this, when we start listening to the people who actually live here instead of selling out to our future and the future of the next residents who move in, I'm asking the board not to approve this site for a dispensary tonight and stick to the plan you were sold when you bought the property. Development that will bring new residents and a better Brookfield. That's what I was sold, those meetings. Anyways, thank you.
Thank you. And because it's just public comment, we don't respond to let the board members if they wish to, during their discussion or deliberation. But thank you for coming out, Chris. I'm going to finish. I'm going to go on this side and I'll come back. Last row there.
Emmanuel Carathanassis, I don't point of order. Will there be continued public comment later after you have the actual talk about
I will, after a motion and a second, if the board would like me to, I could open up specific public comment before a vote. Yes, if you'd like to wait for that.
So this is public comment for
This is general public comment for any comment. I mean, we're going to go through this public comment reports to special committees and then the items to vote. So you could speak now or you can get up and speak then, whichever. Sure. Okay. Anyone else on this side want to speak right now on this side? Sir, on this side, did you have something you'd like to say? If you could please come up.
My name is Ted Parks. I'm a resident of Brookfield. My wife and I are homeowners right over here on Grove. My wife's a nurse at the VA. I work in Brookfield for a very great organization that handles, we deal with the intellectually disabled community. So we manage a bunch of CELA homes in the area. Very good people. We love this community. This is one of the best places we've ever lived. We were welcome here by our neighbors. We're a multiracial family, and we live on a block that is very diverse. We have a 3-year-old that we're raising. We're very happy to have her here in this community. I can tell you that the family that is behind this dispensary is, these are not the type of people that you would think that is part of these. This is a really, really great family. This is a wholesome family with, they're absolutely fantastic people, okay? I think what's happening here is that there's an old mischaracterization of cannabis, okay? And I'm very happy to have an adult child, and I'm very happy that he is part of a generation that's not growing up with alcohol, because I grew up in Chatham, and I grew up in a 1-bedroom apartment that I shared actually with my sister and my mom and my dad, and we saw alcohol rip through our communities. We saw people. It tears you apart, tears down your health. The people that go in there, the people that hang around the store. You don't see this at these places, okay? People are going in there to get their medicine. They're going in there to get things that help them sleep. They're going in there to get anti-inflammatory, okay? They're going there to get things that are superfoods, that are really healing them. This is not riffraff that's going in and out of these places. And the family that is behind this, you could not ask for a better group of people to run a business in this community. You cannot ask for a better group of people. if they were before you right now, this would be a no-brainer. Okay, these are fantastic people, and this is just being mischaracterized. You know, I understand not having a smoking clause in an apartment building, of course. Okay, you know, that's not going to change whether there's a dispensary here or, you know, down the street across right across Harlem Avenue. You know, nobody's still going to be able to smoke in that building because that dispensary's there. Okay, Ogden Avenue needs some work. You know, I walk my dog up and down Ogden Avenue all the time. You know, this business that's going in is going to beautify the neighborhood. It's going to beautify that block. It is exactly the type of business that we want in the neighborhood and on this block. And these are exactly the type of people that we want to be running it, and the people that are be coming in and out of it are going to be regular citizens looking for their medicine and professional people. So, I mean, there's this whole fear behind this is absolutely unfounded. There's no cost for this anymore. You know, this is something that is going to be great for the community. Okay, you know, again, you know, you're getting great people running a great business for this community. You know, so yeah, I just want to give, I'm a 10-year resident here at Brookfield, and I want to give my endorsement behind this project.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Okay, any other public comment at this point? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to reports of special committees, please. Trustee Naramatsu?
Thank you. I'd like to approve the corporate warrant dated June 22nd, 2026, in the amount of $3,824,185.68.
Second.
The motion was made by trustee Naramatsu, second by trustee Kaluzny. Any highlights that you want to point out?
This one was especially large just due to about $2.6 million in engineering and construction costs related to several infrastructure projects occurring throughout the village, and so that's why it's so large this month.
Thank you. Do any board members have any questions or comments related to the warrant? Okay, hearing none, we have a motion, a second. We have a roll call, please.
Trustee Ketchmark.
Aye.
Trustee Hendricks.
Aye.
Trustee Naramatsu.
Aye.
Trustee Gilhooly.
Aye.
Trustee Kaluzny.
Aye.
Motion carries.
With respect to Public Works, we're welcoming a new deputy director coming soon. That should be announced soon. And they're also still working on some other hiring within the department. The Public Works staff have been busy this summer with a lot of special events in the farmers market. So thank you to Public Works for all their work so far. They're also working on switching out the street and parking signage throughout the village in accordance with the ordinance we passed a few meetings ago, so please pay attention to new parking rules. And finally, they've been working on several water main repairs, which helps ameliorate our water loss in our village. As always, you can use the See-Click Fix function on the village's website to report any issues. And I just wanted to do a quick report out, since Trustee Whitehead is not here, that we're still selling duck sales for the Brookfield Parks and Rec Foundation at the farmers markets. We'll be at Music on Grand on Saturday as well. Ducks are $5 a piece. The duck race is on September 26th, and we are getting t-shirts soon, and they're going to be yellow, so that's exciting for us. That ends my report.
Thank you, trustee Naramatsu. Trustee Gilhooly, Chamber of Commerce?
Yes, the Chamber had another successful farmers market this past weekend. Beautiful day, a lot of people, a lot of new vendors there. So I know I got a shout out even from a family member who lives down in Palos, who said she saw that a Greek place near them was going to be at the farmers market this time and recommended some of their focaccia and bread. So I was like, I'm there. So that was pretty nice to hear from out of town what to find at our own market. So that was really a nice shout out. So yes, the farmers market continues through the end of October every Saturday. So please check it out if you haven't. They also are working hard to plan one other thing about the market I want to make a shout out for is that they do proudly accept SNAP and Link benefits, helping to ensure fresh local food is accessible to everyone in our community. And they do have a table for that. So if you are eligible for those, please, again, show up to the farmers market and check that out. And the duck race tent, thank you to the Parks and Rec Foundation and the Parks and Rec Commission. It was a very busy table. Lots of people showing up to find out about how to get their ducks. A couple of other things. We do have a vote on the agenda for tonight for approval of an ordinance granting a liquor license for the Chamber's Fine Arts Festival, which will be September 19th and 20th. It's a 2-day event this year, and that's running from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. here in Kiwanis Park. Be lots of activities, very family friendly, so save the date for those. And we also have just a little shout out for the Progress Park Shops and the Artisan Market that is going to start, hopefully, no rain this week. We've lost 2 weeks in a row because of rain, but this Wednesday should be our first Artisan Market. And I'm not sure if Sway Dance Chicago going to be at this one. If it doesn't rain, one of our chamber members, Sway Dance Chicago, will be offering lessons and doing some dance demos right there at the shops on Progress Park in the performance area. So I hope everyone shows up for that. And then just finally, please go out and support our small businesses. Our businesses around town are very supportive of the community, sponsoring local events and organizations and participating and partnering with the village on things. So please go out and shop local. And during Music on Grand also, there will be open along Grand Avenue.
Oh, can I add something to that,
Yes,
actually?
please.
New Book Joy is a local business in Brookfield, and they are sponsoring the foundation through a readout. So June 24th through the 26th, this Wednesday through Friday, if you buy any books or other goodies at New Book Joy, you can, part of those proceeds will go to the foundation. So just wanted to.
Fantastic. And New Book Joy is just right around the corner on Prairie, just on the east side of the street near the post office. Okay, and that ends my report.
Thank you, Trustee Gahuli. Trustee Hendricks?
The library construction is continuing and progressing. I know it looks a little intimidating at the moment, but it's definitely still open. They've got some great programs going on all summer. And the Planning and Zoning Commission have not met since our last meeting, so that ends my report.
Thank you, Trustee Hendricks. Trustee Ketchmark?
No report tonight.
Thank you. Trustee Whitehead's not here, but I knew if he was here, one of the things he would have talked about is ducks, which Trustee Naramatsu talked about. Just a reminder about our 4th of July parade. It's back to the traditional route on the 4th down Grand Boulevard to Brookfield Avenue and ending up at the park. And as I mentioned earlier, the rededication of the Liberty Bell, and I think Trustee Gahuli mentioned the Music on Grand is this weekend. We have busy week, Artisan Market on Wednesday. I know the rain's going to hold off, and then Friday is a concert in the park, Saturday's Music on Grand. So it'll be a good weekend for everyone to come out and enjoy all the activities in Brookfield. So thank you to everyone that makes all these events possible. Trustee Kaluzny, anything?
Yes, the Conservation Commission has not met since our last meeting, but they will be meeting here tomorrow night at 6 p.m., right in the same room at Village Hall. And the Beautification Commission has also not met since our last meeting, but their next meeting is July 7th at 6:30 p.m. Here in this room as well. That ends my report.
Thank you. And the Solid Waste Agency and WCMC have not met since our last meeting. And Brookfield Zoo, we just continue to partner with them as we work on their events and their busy days and their concerts and events, and we've made great strides in that. So that ends the reports to special committees. So at this point, I'd entertain a motion to pass the omnibus agenda as listed.
So moved.
Second.
The motion was made by Trustee Gahuli, second by Trustee Kaluzny. Roll call, please.
Trustee Ketchmark.
Aye.
Trustee Hendricks.
Aye.
Trustee Naramatsu.
Aye.
Trustee Gahuli.
Aye.
Trustee Kaluzny.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the items under regular business. The first item, I'd entertain a motion to pass an ordinance approving a special use permit, section 62-25, to allow a cannabis dispensary at 9500 Ogden Avenue.
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Trustee Kaluzny, second by Trustee Naramatsu. If with the board's indulgence, before I open it up to board discussion, is there any other public comment at this point? Sir, whoever wants to go first.
Good evening, President Garvey. Can you hear me? Good evening, President Garvey and members of the Village Board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. My name is Emmanuel Carathanassis. I live at 4017 Du Bois Boulevard, just across the street, 2 homes north of the proposed dispensary located at 9500 Ogden Avenue. I've been a proud resident of Brookfield for just under a decade. I first fell in love with this community as a child when my family visited the Brookfield Zoo. Although I did not speak English and only had recently immigrated from Greece to the United States, I was struck by the sense of welcome, the beautiful parks, and the family-oriented atmosphere. Moving here and building my life in Brookfield has been the fulfillment of a personal American dream. I pay property taxes, shop at local businesses like Tischler's, enjoy meals at places such as Mary's Morning Mix-Up, take my pets to Merrick Veterinary, and as a matter of fact, I have a much needed Brookfield eye care appointment tomorrow. I also support our community in everyday ways. Like many of you, I want Brookfield to remain a place where families feel safe and welcome. I'm here tonight regarding the special use permit application for a cannabis dispensary at 9500 Ogden Avenue, across from my home on Du Bois side. I respectfully ask the board to deny this permit because the proposed use does not meet the standards of compatibility with the surrounding area. The location sits on Ogden Avenue between the Galloping Ghost Arcade, 9415 Ogden Avenue, a destination that draws thousands of families and young people, and nearby services for vulnerable populations, including Beds Plus, just across the village line in LaGrange. While I understand the village and the applicant are not responsible for every possible secondary effect placing this type of retail operation so close to both youth-oriented and sensitive use raises reasonable questions about overall compatibility. Our neighborhood is primarily residential and family-oriented, with many homes with children. A high-traffic retail cannabis business does not align with the existing character and use immediately surrounding the site. Residents have expressed concerns about increased traffic, litter, and potential impact on the quiet enjoyment of their homes. These are the same types of issues that led to strong community opposition in prior proposals. I've collected signatures on a change.org petition opposing this dispensary. It currently has 217 verified signatures with a meaningful portion of Brookfield residents. Although most of my neighbors are unable to attend this meeting due to the time and the fact that it's on a weeknight, every household on my block has signed. This reflects genuine, good faith concern from people who have lived here every day. The board has already considered and declined or seen revoked 2 previous cannabis dispensary proposals in recent years. The 31st Street proposal was rejected by a 4-3 vote after public input. An earlier Ogden Avenue proposal permit was ultimately revoked. This history shows that the village has carefully evaluated these applications against community standards and has not automatically approved them. As I note that, as directly affected property owner living across from the proposed site, I did not receive any mail notice of this application. Proper notice to nearby residents is an important part of a transparent public process. The village's own zoning standards for special use require that proposal be compatible with the intent of the zoning district, compatible with existing uses in the vicinity, and that any unique impact be adequately addressed. Based on the location, the surrounding residents and family use, the history of community feedback, and concerns raised by multiple residents, I do not believe this application meets those standards. I'm not opposed to thoughtfully located commercial development in appropriate areas. I simply ask the board to consider whether this particular site, directly across from homes in a family neighborhood and between uses serving youth and vulnerable populations, is the right place. I respectfully request that you deny the special use permit for 9500 Ogden Avenue. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your service to our community. I do have made copies of the names and the towns that have been verified.
Sure. If you would.
There's 10 copies.
Okay, I will pass them to each side. Thank you very much for coming out tonight. There's 3 for the. There's 1. Leave 1 for Trustee Whitehead. I'll make sure he gets it. Adam, there's 1 if you want. Ma'am, would you like to say something?
Thank you.
Hello, my name is the Reverend Vicky Carathanassis. I live at 1417 Du Bois Boulevard. I do want to address the misrepresentation we've already heard about the opposition to this location. It has nothing to do with whether or not cannabis is a good thing to have. It has to do with the specific location in place. I myself have seizures and take cannabis in order to help me with those seizures. This does not change the fact that I am opposed to the dispensary at this location. I think many people enjoy restaurants and enjoy frequenting those. They don't necessarily want to live directly next to a restaurant because of the ways that that impacts their home. It is a very similar phenomena. The previous time this board voted on whether or not to issue a special permit to this applicant, it was ultimately voted down. The reason cited by the board was that there was residential property immediately adjacent to the location in question. It's confusing and frustrating then that this location is being considered because it too has residences adjacent to it. Surely, if that reasoning was valid for the last location, it should apply here as well. But it's also frustrating because I sat through multiple meetings where we discussed and gave feedback on the development of this quarter, where we all dreamed together about what this area could be and what the people wanted to see along Ogden and the surrounding areas. I had thought at the time it was a beautiful vision that was being worked on by the community and the board and the staff all together about what we could do and what we could become. I remember that plan had the area neighboring this site marked off as mixed-use residential and retail. Shops on the first floor, we were told, and nice luxury apartments on top for commuters to take advantage of the neighboring train station and encourage developing this into a walkable neighborhood. I had thought that's what we were doing, at least. This dispensary isn't in line with any of those visioning discussions. It was not something that came up in any of those meetings. I'm fearful that the very fact it's being considered means that the town has changed its mind and no longer intends to build those luxury apartments here at all. Because the last time a location for a dispensary was being considered, it was voted no due to how many residences were next to it. The master plan we envisioned together says that right next to this location will be luxury apartments. So if that's true, why is building a dispensary right next to these current and future residences sensible, but building it next to those previous residences wasn't? I understand you haven't voted yet. I'm saying, why was this even considered as a location in the first place? Because the exact same reason the previous location was voted down applies here too. It looks bad. There's higher concentrations of people of color and immigrants and people whose first language isn't English living in this neighborhood than there was in the previous location. The portion of LaGrange that we butt up against has a similar phenomena with their populations, and that neighborhood next to ours having a large population of black families. I truly hope this isn't the case, but what this looks like from an outside perspective, even having it be considered, is the town going, okay, we shouldn't put it next to predominantly white residences, but black and brown residences, that's okay. It's not a good look. I have explained at the last meeting that I live directly across the street from this location. I can't begin to express how disappointing and heartbreaking it was as a member of this community to hear over and over how we want to be a neighborhood dispensary from a group who not only had done nothing to connect with the neighborhood, not saw any input on what our wants and hopes and dreams and visions were, but also that neither they nor the town nor the applicant saw any of our feedback on things that impact the whole neighborhood with this plan. Respectfully, the people who live on Du Bois have a much stronger grasp of traffic flow in this area than anyone else in this room does. Because we live here, we see it every day, we know its quirks, and we would have had insights on how to make this work better, especially since a formal study seems to have not been done. Instead of any kind of community work, I heard tossed out as though it was an afterthought, not even worth an entire plan or study, that traffic could just be intentionally funneled out onto our residential street. That is a decision that would have a profound impact on this neighborhood, on this community that the applicant claims they want to be a part of. But from what I saw, it wasn't even given more than a couple of seconds of thought, that we were treated as just something to not even consider. How exactly is that community? It's a far cry from those visioning meetings about the future that I had been so hopeful about. It was mildly insulting to hear testimony that all of the surrounding buildings had been sent mail by the applicant about this. I know neither myself nor any of my neighbors did. I know this because we are community, and we talk to each other. It made me further disappointed to hear that not even the businesses had been alerted about that statement, and that statement being made just wasn't true on multiple capacities. This frankly makes me fearful about the future. This business will greatly impact my neighborhood and my home and my neighbors, and now we've already seen examples of the board not being provided with accurate information by the applicant. I don't want to speculate on if that was an intentional falsehood or merely an error due to lack of competence, because I'm not really sure it matters. The end result, either way, is that from the very beginning, accurate information is not being consistently provided. If there are these kinds of oversights or falsehoods at this stage, I'm apprehensive about what the next one looks like. And it's maddening to hear happy insistence like it's already a done deal that the side of the business that would be facing Du Bois will have signs for the business on it. I really sat and thought about it, and I struggled to think of businesses in Brookfield where the backside of their building that is along a residential street has that kind of logo and branding on it. I'm not an expert, but since a lot of businesses weren't coming to mind, I'm going to assume that that's probably against a zoning law, unless you have a special permit. Why would this kind of business be the exception that is allowed to do this? This is in no way in line with the character of this community. Moreover, we have continuously been told that this building that is located on the corner of Du Bois and Ogden is not located on Du Bois, but rather on Ogden, even though it is a corner property and one whose building is aligned along the Ogden side, so it is clearly on both streets. And I would argue it is primarily along the Du Bois side. If you measure the building, it is significantly longer on the Du Bois side than the Ogden side. But it's truly maddening to hear that this won't be on Du Bois with one breath, and then here in the next breath, the plan is to intentionally open the building up and add more windows to the Du Bois side. These two statements cannot truthfully coexist at the same time. Either it is not on Du Bois, in which case there should be absolutely no attempt at opening it up and adding more windows to Du Bois, and there should be no signage on Du Bois either, or it is being built on Du Bois, in which case we are back at the original issue where this is a proposal for a dispensary on a residential street in an area that was marked off for increased residences, which are factors this same board has already voted and determined makes locations unsuitable for dispensaries. I am truly at a loss to understand the logic of these conditions attempting to truthfully coexist at once. This is a clear example of talking out of both sides of the mouth. It is dishonest, and it takes advantage of the people who live here. People who, I wouldn't even say feel erased, but are erased. The mock-ups showing this proposed location should contain our homes. They are so close to this location that they would be present in the mock-ups because there is no way to show that entire building without showing our homes in the background too, because that's how close we are. An intentional decision was made in that presentation to blur the houses out, to turn our homes that we have worked hard for and love, that many of us are raising children in, and they were reduced to one big, white, featureless box, the size of which quietly suggests that it's just some big Walmart-sized commercial building or something. This is a dishonest representation of our neighborhood, of our homes. I don't understand how the board is expected to make an informed, accurate decision about this location when the visuals you are being provided with so clearly misrepresent what is being discussed. Our homes are not one big white featureless box. How can you begin to make decisions about this neighborhood when you're not even being shown this neighborhood? How can the applicant claim that they want to be a neighborhood dispensary when the very act of showing you a mock-up of their dispensary, they erase the entire neighborhood from view? The actions do not match the words. And honestly, in the last meeting, I already saw one glaring example of the words not matching reality. So you will forgive me if I trust the actions to be the more accurate testimony. But most of all, it makes me sad that there's no clear plan in place for any of the revenue that would be generated from this business going back to the community. And by community, I mean the actual neighborhood that the building is located in. I think the word community has been thrown around in an abstract way a lot to refer to all of Brookfield. I think there are plenty of people who live in Brookfield who don't spend any time whatsoever in our portion of town. I don't think that's inherently a bad thing. People have limited time in their days. But this feels like the story of the very busy hen. Do you remember that one? Who will help me plant the wheat? Well, not me, not me. Who will help me harvest the wheat? Nope, not me. Who will help me bake this bread? Not me. Well, who will help me eat the bread? And suddenly, me. We are, in a way that feels flippant at best, being told. And I mean told, not asked, because the language being used in these meetings, as well as the crews that we have already seen working at the site, would suggest that someone, at least, has already been decided that this meeting is just a formality. Again, this building is directly across the street from our houses, so we see it. We are being told to accept higher traffic, I'm not even going to call it a plan because I watched it being tossed out as an afterthought, but a loose idea where this parking lot is intentionally designed to funnel traffic out into our residential street, our street that already has major problems with traffic and people excessively speeding along it. We are being told to give up on that dream we talked about together, about luxury apartments and retail shops in this area. And I know you know that's true. Think about the dispensaries in our area. None of them have luxury apartments near them. Almost all of the ones that I'm aware of are placed in the middle of purely commercial or industrial areas. I think there's a reason for that. This board already voted down a proposed location that was in a residential area, so I know you know that this is not a normal or good decision. I know that because you already said it. Some of you were quoted in the paper about it. And I trust that you aren't going to be blatantly inconsistent with the reasoning in your decision-making process. But if you are, my hope is that the revenue generated goes back to this area. The luxury apartments will be forfeited with this decision. At best, you'll get some of those prefabricated apartments that are mass-produced in China, which will then struggle to find renters because we all recognize that people don't generally like living next to dispensaries. That's why they aren't usually built in residential areas. Perhaps then it will become largely Section 8 housing, and the stigma surrounding people who rely on such housing will be used as justification to further deprioritize developing the area. So with this decision, we'd be giving up that vision we made together. We'd be forfeiting both that dream and sense of community that was being built when people gave their feedback on it. And trust between the local residents and the town would be shattered in exchange for a rather small amount of tax revenue that ultimately wouldn't even make up for the revenue that's lost due to the missed opportunities on those apartments and retail stores we all gave up on. If the funds are so important that you would give all of that up, they should be invested back into the community that is taking on additional burdens in order to generate them for the town. We heard at the last meeting a half-joking, perhaps, comment that the city should pave the alley for the dispensary. That alley, when you compare it to other alleys in the area, is in pristine condition. I'm in no way saying it's a good alley. I'm saying that the basic maintenance on alleys in this area is so poor that that one, though it is bad, is well above average. Why on earth would there even be consideration that this business, which we, the residents of this area, are already making sacrifices for, would immediately receive something that the people who live here have been denied? I invite you sometime to come look at the alleys across the street from the proposed location, the one on the east side of Du Bois that runs parallel to Du Bois. You will see our perpetual ponds. The potholes are so enormous, it's not an exaggeration to say water takes up 1/4 of the length of it, more if it's recently rained. The gravel's been scraped over so many times, large portions are just dirt. Plants grow in the part that is allegedly gravel because of how thin the coverage is. There's not enough gravel in the area to cover the holes. And because of the stagnant water, perpetually, mosquitoes breed there, and the rats we are plagued with have ample sources of drinking water. The mere suggestion that the alley behind this proposed location, which suffers none of these issues, might be paved while the residents who live here continue to contend with situations like this is soul-crushing in its iniquity. This board has already ruled that putting dispensaries in residential areas is a bad idea. It is up to you now whether you want to apply that ruling equally among all the residential areas, or if that's merely something for residences that fall under specific demographics. But if you are going to decide to be unequal in that ruling, I would hope that you would at least pledge that money to help us, the residents that are taking on this burden, not merely the TIF district. I'm not even asking for special treatment. I'm asking for the same level of help that those residences that are ineligible to have dispensaries near them already receive from the town. Use the funds to pave the alleys in the area that are truly neglected, not the above average ones like the one behind the proposed location. Put in speed bumps and actually enforce the speeding issues that will inevitably get worse if this business is placed here. Do an actual study on how to manage traffic with this location. Show with your actions that this would actually be community. Otherwise, from where I stand, this business going up and wanting to be part of and serve the community is as accurate and truthful of a statement as those notices they claim to have sent out, but everyone in the community mysteriously did not receive. This is a bad idea for the area's future, and I sincerely hope you reconsider the proposal. Thank you.
Thank you for coming out. Any other public comment related to the cannabis dispensary vote? Yes, young gentleman over here.
Hello, my name is Chris Isidoro, and I live on 4023 Du Bois Boulevard, right across the street from where the proposal of the cannabis dispensary is. And today I'm here with my family of 6, my 2 parents, my older brother that graduated from LT last year, my 2 younger sisters. One of them is 10, and she currently goes to Congress Park, and my younger sister, which is 2 right now. And I would like to say, when people hear Brookfield, they hear about diversity, welcoming, and family-friendly. But I don't want, when they hear Brookfield, about thinking about the dispensary near the residents of the houses, and that there's people walking day by day. Like the other day, yesterday, I was looking outside my window in my bedroom, and I saw families walking by. I saw parents walking their babies every day. I see people walking their dogs, running, laughing with each other. I see teenagers and kids walking every day, riding their bicycles and their scooters. There are even kids, younger kids, even probably the age of 8 and younger, that go to school, walking by there every day. And during the school year, I actually go to my bus stop right by where the dispensary is supposed to be. And I would like to say that if they do put the dispensary, it will look bad towards the people of Brookfield, because I know me and probably you guys too, you want the population of Brookfield to grow more, not to decrease. Because if you put the dispensary, many people will not feel welcomed, or they feel that their families are going to be endangered because there's going to be probably more drug addicts or a little more violence, and they will probably want to leave. And that's pretty much what I want to say. And when I volunteer at the Share Food, Share Love food pantry, and I talk to the people who get food there, and I tell them, if you could go back in time, what would be one mistake you would undo? And many of them would say to not get involved with drugs or alcohol, because they say that ruins their family relationship. Many people got divorced, never saw their kids again. And they said that after they got involved with that, they went to dispensaries, that their life went on a decline, that many of them are now living on the streets or don't even have enough money for food or their basic necessaries. And they would always say to me, don't get involved with that. Tell people, spread the word that is not good for your body. And I know that there's some people who are for with the dispensary, who want the dispensary. But me and other people, like my neighbors on my whole block and probably other people too, they don't want that, because that'll be bad for the village of Brookfield. Thank you.
Thank you for coming out and speaking on behalf of your family and your neighbors. Any other public comment at this point? This is, yes, sir?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, all, to the village board. My name is Anthony Isidoro Juarez. I reside on 4023 Du Bois Boulevard, and I am currently living because I have returned home from the University of Illinois, where I am a full-time student. As my brother Chris mentioned, I graduated from LT last year, and I have been living at this residence for the past 2 years as of 2023. And I just wanted to share some insight as to what this proposed permit would create for my community. And by community, I really just mean locally, just on my street. As of recently, I just purchased a small truck, and we have it on the back of our property, which does not have a garage, and that's a whole other subject. But I actually got into a minor scratch incident with the truck just because I fell into one of the potholes. So I had to, maneuver, still figuring out how to drive, unfortunately, right? But I was like, man, I wish I could have a better alley, right? I'm like, maybe, gravel isn't, the best option for a place like Brookfield. That's more common in lower income areas where I believe my brother had mentioned before, we are originally from a lower income area where cannabis dispensaries are common, right? But, as much as I love Brookfield, I'm always looking forward to seeing improvements in our area, right? Especially since it is a very congregated area, right? We see, the metro station's right there. I personally go on runs all the time there. And I just wanted to share some, my thoughts on whether this permit should be allowed or not. Like I said, I'm an individual. I have my own thoughts, right? So whatever I think, shouldn't really affect this, right? But if we look at this at the logistical side, right? As my fellow neighbors had mentioned before, previous proposals had been rejected due to partially or for whatever reason that they were too close to resident areas, right? From my logical viewpoint, I'm seeing that the loophole was created where the proposed license was placed on Ogden instead of Du Bois, right? And like I said, looking at the property, I live right on it. I don't think anyone lives closer to that. I live right on it, and I can clearly define it that it is more on the Du Bois side. So you can clearly tell that that loophole was created to say, hey, it's on Ogden. And when thinks of Ogden, they're like, oh, well, it's kind of like the like where the CVS was. It's where the Galloping Ghost Arcade is. So you're thinking, oh, that's an industrial area. No, it's on Du Bois. It's on Du Bois Boulevard. So it's where it's at. As mentioned, the alleys are in need of improvements. So, like I said, these proposed developments should probably go to, just simply making the drivable area a little bit better, right? But that's more so looking at the side of, hey, this is where I live, right? This is where people, reside. In terms of drivability, that's looking at that viewpoint. Now, for me to, pull a gut-wrenching story, right? That, let me, make you guys look at me on the sentimental side. I don't really like, using the ethos side. I'm more of a, logistical type of person. But, here goes my spill of the tea. So, as mentioned, Chris, before, he, loves his community, loves the school. I myself will not give up LT for anything else. But I think this is more or less about myself or Chris, and this is more so about my sister Addison, who is currently here with us, right, attending, as is all my family. And my parents have already decided that they will be residing at that residence, primarily. My mom loves to exaggerate, but she's like, oh, until I die. And I'm like, oh, we'll see. But she has no plans of leaving the area. She says, this is a beautiful place. We've always wanted to own a home, and we've always wanted to raise a family. Matter of fact, that's primarily why my younger sister is 2, and I am currently 19 years old, because they finally felt the relief to start a family, and they found the perfect location in Brookfield. They found the perfect high school in Lyons Township, which, not to displace Riverside Brookfield, I am certain that is also an excellent school, right? But the point is, schools are great. My sister's going to Congress Park. My brother Christopher went to Park Junior High, now is an LT student. And I just want to say, as you can all see with this personification, we are a family. We are Brookfield residents before anything. I would hate to believe that this license is trying to be passed because our area is less residential, or that I don't even want to think, right? Because I'm like I say things as they are, but I wouldn't want to think that just because we are, like I said, I don't like using the term people of color, right? We are a Hispanic family, right? My parents are immigrants. I'm a firstborn immigrant person born of immigrant parents, right? I hate using the narrative, right? Because I consider myself a Brookfield resident first, right? I consider myself, as equal and as willing as anyone else who lives in this area, whether you live right next to the library, whether you live right next to RB, we are all Brookfield residents. So why is it that this license is being passed as if we are not here? That doesn't really make sense to me. Like I said, on the logistical point, like I said, my emotional point, it's there, right? But going back to the logistical steps of it, just doesn't make sense for it, right? As I mentioned, maybe try, the village should consider investing more in fixing the alleyways. And this is not to say that the village board has not done, anything for us as residents. We very much appreciate the sewer work that has been done. We have clearly noticed the front Du Bois Boulevard has been paved as of the past 2 years, so I'm very well aware of it. And like I said, I'm not saying that the village board does not care about the residents. I'm just saying that it simply knows we exist, right? These developments that are being said, are living proof that the village board recognizes that families live here and that they are primarily interested in developing the area. Now, when I think about development, I think of, businesses, right? As a business owner myself, my family, we provide catering services many times in the village of Brookfield, right? We have created events on, Slaggers on 47th, Joe's Saloon, we've had events there, right? We cater to all different types of people, right? As a business partner myself, I understand that the primary purpose of a business is to thrive and succeed, right? Like I said, I'm not trying to put my personal side into it, but I do firmly believe that a business owner should try to do the best they can to establish itself, expand itself, and if I were to be a cannabis dispensary owner, I would also try to see where's the best location to put my place at, right? Like I want my business to grow, right? Matter of fact, our family, we have one day dreams of creating our own restaurant for food, right? In our own local community of Brookfield. We don't see ourselves establishing our business anywhere else that isn't here, right local, what the people need, right? So I understand, like I said, from a business person perspective, I understand that, hey, we, are trying to look up for the best location. But like I said, from this viewpoint where the permit is trying to get passed on Ogden and not on Du Bois, just to get out of the loophole, just the evidence that has been mentioned by my neighbors that the previous permits have been rejected or because they are on residential areas. Like I said, that's... I personally, if I were to create a business and I wanted to try to pass it as smooth as possible, I would say, yeah, Ogden is a industrial commercial area. It's not residential. And like I said, it's on Du Bois. So, I see the logistical steps of it, but it's contradictory to, like my neighbor has mentioned, the decision that has been made by the board. So I just wanted to give you some food for thought on that. And let me think about it real quick. Like I said, as you can tell, this is all very unscripted due to my natural, language, natural, mumbling, because I'm still trying to figure out. Because I remember I was training. I was doing training with the Illinois Army National Guard when the last meeting was called, and then I remember getting a call from my mom saying, "Hey, our neighbor mentioned that the license is trying to get passed," and I'm like, "Oh, where?" I'm like, I remember there was some talk about it being on Ogden and like closer to Maple. I'm like, "Oh, it sounds so distant." She's like, "No, it's in front of our house," and I was like, "Oh, what do you mean? Like I don't know, by the 7-Eleven?" Or I'm like, no, like right in front. Like our neighbor's very frantic about it and wants us to do something about it. And I was like, oof, fortunately I can't make the meeting, but I'd love to talk about it one day. So here I am now. And let's see. Final thing that I'll mention just to get out of you guys' way, just because I know we're all thinking about dinner probably. I am myself. But I'm sorry about that. I went to the University of Illinois to pursue a degree in political science, and that is currently pending, as I am proud to say that today I've taken different choices, right? But I'm, as a part of University of Illinois student, I primarily left home, which is very difficult for me as being the older sibling. just because I want to be able to keep tabs on my siblings, right? But I always want to take risks and look for the best for my family because, like I said, my sister Addison was born on September 20th, 2023, and has lived her whole life, she's almost 3, her whole life here in Brookfield. And like I said, we have no plans of leaving. No matter what goes on, no matter how bad the situation gets, we are here to stay. We're not going to let, any, how do I say this, reverse gentrification occur, if that even is a term, because that would happen, as my neighbor has mentioned. The overall living community would decrease. But I just want to, have you guys think what would happen when my sister's going to Congress Park, she's going to Park, she's going to LT, and she's like, hey, where's your house? We should go one day. Like, oh, well, people usually say, oh, my house is it's next to this park, it's next to over here, it's by the library. She's going to say, oh, no, I live in front of the cannabis dispensary. That's literally what she's going to say. And like I said, I don't think that looks good on a family. But I just wanted to let the village board know that, it doesn't really matter what the families think because, we are here to stay, right? We're not going anywhere. The permit might be trying to get passed due to, logical steps, but we are here to stay. And honestly, I leave this meeting feeling relieved. So I'm like, hey, I gave the village board my thoughts. It's up to them. I honestly, you guys handle it. That's actually why I'm going to college because I had plans of being one of you guys one day. I'm interested in serving my own community. Like I said, possibly starting a business here. So I'm leaving this meeting relieved, not stressed. I'm like, hey, I shared my thoughts. They'll make their own decision, and because of the politics of the village of Brookfield, that their decision is final. So, as village board, you all should look for the best for people, or at least that's what it's supposed to be on paper. So, thank you very much for having me here tonight. Sorry that I went on a ramble, but that's what college students do. So, you guys have a good evening. Okay.
Thank you very much for your comment. We appreciate you coming out. Okay, any more public comment on this item? On behalf of myself and the board, I want to thank everyone that, I'm sorry, one more.
Good evening, Ken Walker, 4100 block of Dubois. Would it be possible to put on the screen the proposed numbers? Is that slide deck available?
I don't think we have that we'd have to go back to the other packet. The board members have access to all the information.
Okay, so I saw projected numbers around 300,000 a year. Can I ask the board where those numbers came from and were they independently vetted? I did some lookups, and it's very hard to find true revenue numbers in the surrounding towns that have dispensaries. But Westchester prints their budget right online, and in their 2025 budget, Brookfield is about 10% bigger than Westchester. And the dispensary that is on Roosevelt Road and LaGrange Road is much more convenient to get in and out from expressways and people coming from out of town. They only generated $49,645 and 57 cents in 2025, and the other numbers that are available on Illinois.gov is that cannabis sales are down. So I'm just wondering, where did the 300,000 come from? I know it was projected a couple years out, but if it was based on 2022 numbers, which was about the highest in Illinois, where were those numbers coming from?
We were provided numbers by the applicant and staff, and the board is going to make decisions about how they feel about those numbers. So, that's one of the many factors. I leave it up to the individual board members to decide what credence they put in those numbers, how much that means to them. So this
no
is
independent
this is
vetting?
This is a chance for public comment. If you'd like to say something, you could say something, and then the board's going to deliberate.
Okay, I'm opposed. My neighbors are opposed, and we didn't get notifications.
Okay. All right, is there any other public comment at this point? And as I was about to say, I want to thank everyone. We did receive a lot of public comment at all the meetings that we've had, and we appreciate people coming out and being polite, respectful, and sharing their views and their personal stories and their personal feelings on this. We also have received a lot of letters and emails, which all the board members have been given, and I know everyone takes the time to read these, and they are meaningful. We've gotten letters on both sides, and we do appreciate when people take the time to do that. We realize that meetings can be difficult to come to, whether they're inconvenient or some people don't feel comfortable coming to meetings, but every bit of public comment means something to this board, so we appreciate people coming out. Before I open it up to board deliberations, one of our village trustees could not be here tonight due to a family situation, Trustee Kyle Whitehead, and he did ask, and I confirmed with the village attorney that it is permissible for me to read this statement for the board, because the board members received copies of all the written correspondence that were sent in to everyone, but this was just given to me this morning by Trustee Whitehead. He did review, he was not at the last meeting, but he did watch the meeting, read it, and has discussed it. But this is a statement from Trustee Kyle Whitehead. I am unable to make tonight's meeting, but in order to be transparent with the public and my colleagues on the board, I asked for the opportunity to share brief comments on the ordinance approving a special use permit to allow a cannabis dispensary at 9500 Ogden Avenue. Thank you to all the residents who have reached out to me providing feedback. As both a member of the village board and a nearby resident, I support the ordinance, and I am excited about the potential for the development to catalyze additional investment in the Congress Park area along Ogden Avenue on the south side of Brookfield. My family lives just 3 blocks south of the site, and I walk by it several times per week on the way to the train station. 2 of our 3 boys attend Congress Park Elementary down the road, with our youngest son on his way in a couple of years. We love our neighborhood, school, and parks, and appreciate the diversity of residents in our corner of the village. I'm confident the dispensary would be safe and welcome addition to the area, and if any issues arise, I'm confident we could work with Chief Curavilla to quickly respond and manage them, just as the department does successfully with many other businesses in the village. I think it's important to keep in mind that this investment would be the first of what we hope will be several new developments around the Congress Park Metro Station and all along Ogden Avenue. With more housing and small businesses, we can continue to grow the community on the south side and make the Ogden Avenue corridor a safer and more attractive destination. Given the unique tax and regulatory structure for cannabis dispensaries in Illinois, this business has the potential to significantly increase sales tax revenue in the village and over time help relieve pressure on property taxes and increase affordability for the Brookfield families. I look forward to future conversations about increasing investment along Ogden and along Brookfield's south side, hopefully following tonight's successful vote. Thank you to President Garvey and members of the board for allowing me to share my perspective, and signed Trustee Kyle Whitehead. So
I'd like to say something on that comment.
Sir, you had a chance for public comment, and you know what? I'm gonna let you come up and say something, but please don't stand up and shout.
Forgive me.
Okay, please come, that's okay. No, please come up and say what you would like to say.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Thank you for your time. I mean that. Love the city of Brookfield. Per usual.
Can we have your name, please?
Raymond William Schmitz IV. I live at 4019 Du Bois Boulevard. Thank you for your time, council. All right. This is a typical situation. I don't know if you're familiar with the term. You probably are. Carpet bagging. So another billionaire comes in here, wants to, you know what I mean, put his foot through the door through first and not even be present. I don't appreciate that. I'm a working man. I got to park over there, all right? I work every hour you can imagine. With the train station the way it is right now and all the businesses surrounding, it's hard enough to find parking over there. If this thing were open on the weekends that you're proposing, okay, I'd probably look the other way on it. But that's not the case, all right? We already got enough foot traffic over there. And by golly, you know, forgive me for speaking out of turn over here. But yeah, I don't approve of carpetbaggers coming in here making a mockery of locals, okay? I don't like it. But that's all I gotta say. God bless the city of Brookfield and all municipalities, I mean that. But yeah, I want my parking spot at the end of the day. Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. pardon the pun, but last call. Any more public comment? I opened it up for that gentleman. I'm trying to be fair. The board always kind of asks me to allow as much public comment as possible, but at some point, we want to move on to board discussions. Is there any more public comment? Because this is going to be the last time I'm going to open it back up. Okay, thank you for that, everyone. Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve it in front of the board. We've had extensive public comment. I will now open it up to the board members if they wish to say anything or wish to discuss amongst themselves. Point. So I'll tables whoever wants the floor.
Is it okay to ask staff for a
Yeah, absolutely,
question too as well?
absolutely.
Can staff speak to the delivery of the notifications and the issue that?
Certainly. So the delivery was by affidavit of public notice, and as this board was sent as well, there was compliance with the ordinance. Due process requirements were met when the village complied and sent the public notice requirements using the GIS system within 250 feet. In this case, it was within 350 feet of the subject location. And we do have hard copies of that, the originals in the file.
And to add to that, the notice, we only can send a notice and provide applicant notice of who owns the property.
Right, to the
So
owner
I'm not
of
sure
record.
if these people that got up and spoke tonight, I'm not sure if they're tenants or if they're the owners, but the owners of the property, the only people that we know definitively who it is, and that's who we, for any application, not just this one, for any application where there's notice requirement to the village, we follow the same exact procedure and we send it to the owner, the property owner of record.
And is there confirmation of receipt from the owners? Is that a requirement?
That is not a requirement for the notice requirement to be satisfied under the ordinance. And I'll let council speak to that if there's anything contrary to that.
Yeah, it does not have to be by certified mail.
And do we know that the addresses that were noted earlier are within that 350 feet?
Yes, that was the list that was sent to the board members, and those are all of the owners of record that are pulled up using the assessor's tax rolls. And all of the notices are sent directly to those owners of record.
And I appreciate that after the last meeting, several board members requested it, and you did provide the affidavit as well as the mailing list, as well as the geographic GIS circle, which was above and beyond what was required per the ordinance. So, I'm sorry, Trustee Gooley, anything else?
I have a few questions here. In terms of the address, the Ogden Avenue address, I'm assuming that this is the address on record with the county and not?
Absolutely, yes, that's the address that's on the warranty deed as well.
Okay. So I'm wondering now if the applicant can, if it's too early to ask them to come up to speak about the guards that were required. I know there was that comment regarding safety, and could you speak to that requirement? Is it a requirement of the?
Yeah, yes, if you could answer. State your name, again, we know who you are, but state your name for the record.
Tanya Griffin. I live in Denver at 1140 Bannock Street. Since I've been back and forth here quite a bit, so hello everyone. Even since we provided all of the packets and the pro formas and the spreadsheets for the 31st Street location, a lot has happened in the state of Illinois, including the fact that cannabis itself has moved from a Schedule I drug, which means it's a lethal drug, to a Schedule.
Tanya, I'm sorry,
Yes.
if you could please just, there was a specific, I don't want to just open this up to general.
Oh, yeah, I'm very sorry.
About the security requirements.
So in the recent House bill, omnibus bill that Governor Pritzker signed, not only has cannabis been made medical in the state of Illinois, but in that bill, among other things, we are no longer required to have third-party security guards. So there will be no armed security guards. It will all be dispensary staff. So there is quite a few changes in the last month signed by Governor Pritzker in the omnibus bill that has continued to normalize cannabis for epilepsy and so all of those things have been done since we've last met.
Thank you for coming up to answer that question. And if the board has any other questions, I'll just ask you to address
Just come back up,
the
yeah.
specific questions. And thank you, I appreciate it. Trustee Gooley, did you have any other questions specific for the applicant?
You can come back to me.
But I mean, for the applicant, well, that's fine.
That's fine.
Anybody else comments?
Well, I was going to ask you a question about, I know we're here for the special use specifically and not necessarily for, your plans on the building and such, but, and maybe this is also for Libby, but in terms of signage and how that's going to go, is the signage going to go on Ogden only, or are you planning on signage on Du Bois?
So there is very specific sign ordinances,
Right.
which for this area, which we will be 100% compliant with. So the reason why we did put sign on the buildings is we will 100% abide. For example, the monument sign, you no longer want that there. So what the village wants, we will be doing in keeping with the ordinance. And it's a specific ordinance for that area, which
Okay.
we will abide by.
Thank you. I have a vape shop at the end of my block, and it
Yeah,
is
I
very
know,
bright.
right? Well,
So
and they have things in the window, none of that will, none of those things will be happening.
So I'm glad that you brought that up, because I think there are also rules, correct, about what you can advertise. on the
Correct.
exterior, right? It has to be very straightforward with your name and logo and
Nothing that
else.
appeals to children. I mean, we have state rules
Correct.
that manage how we interact with the community.
And can you also just remind us about the rules around loitering, outside use,
Yes.
cameras, those types of things?
24/7 surveillance, we hold that footage for 90 days. It's also fed to Illinois State Police. We allow no loitering, absolutely no consumption on the premise in the building. And again, those are all rules that we adopt from the IDFPR, and our license is at risk if we ever violate those. By no means do we have any symbols or anything in signage that appeals to children. Again, that falls back to the IDFPR.
Okay, and last question is
Yes.
the windows that were mentioned.
Yes.
What does that, are those like clear see-through windows? Are they?
No,
what do those
they're
look like?
tinted, so you can't fully see through those windows. If the village would prefer us not to put windows on the Du Bois side, and we come together, we cannot do that, to be honest. We kind of, after the planning and zoning meeting, we got into a pretty in-depth conversation about how the village, or how the building should look, and by no means did we mean to not listen to or pay heed to the residents. Architects often just block everything around them when they're trying to focus on a building. That was the only intention there, 100%. What we intend to do with that building is clean it up significantly, repave the parking lot, raise the roof 10 to 15 feet, and really make it a visually stunning building as you enter into LaGrange. We are interested in developing the land around the Congress Metro. I live in Denver, so I do live in a luxury condo, and there is a dispensary in my building. So it is very different in some other states. It does not, cannabis dispensaries do not preclude condos or luxury apartments, and all of these do not allow smoking in them. So I don't know that one means the other. But we are interested in really working with the community of Brookfield and seeing this vision through, for sure.
Thank you.
If there are windows on the Du Bois side or on any side, would
Yes.
they be secure?
Yes, 100% bulletproof. And this is all coming down from the state, from IDFPR.
And I think I might be able to shed a little bit of light on the windows being on that side from the Plan Commission discussion. When we have a building that's just one blank wall, that's one solid brick wall, it's very imposing, it's not very friendly. That is a space where pedestrians do walk through. That is a community area. Our stationary district, I believe, the requirements, the preferences are to have windows along those facades so that it interacts, it feels like a pedestrian-friendly space. So along that sidewalk, those windows would make the area friendlier, and that was, I believe, the intent of the Plan Commission discussion around the windows.
Other questions, comments, discussion from the board?
Libby, the list you had sent out to us, there were approximately 100 notices sent out. Those were all to the owners of record.
Correct, as pulled up through GIS,
So
yes.
I think it was just over 100 that were sent out.
If I can add to that, of course, we used Les at Priority Printing. He's been on Ogden for decades. He personally delivered them several days to the post office, took snapshots. I went in to make sure that it was done. And we did cross-track and use the list from the village, and I made sure it was done. Those letters were sent out, for sure.
Okay, thank you. Adam, I just had a couple things I wanted to clarify. I mean, as liquor commissioner, I know the state statutes limit alcohol sales on Sundays before 11 o'clock. That's where we have that ordinance?
There is local authority that you could do.
Okay, so.
For liquor, but liquor and cannabis are different.
Is there any similar state statute that limits cannabis sales before a certain time on Sunday?
I believe the state statute actually does say hours of operation, but your proposed or the conditional proposed hours of operation are within what the state.
Yes, sir.
Limits.
We have actually curbed the Sunday hours, and we're happy to work with you, but we are within what the IDFPR has set as what they would like to see happen in communities.
Okay. I don't want to keep Tanya standing up here. Any other questions for Tanya at this point? Thank you, Tanya. I
Thanks.
appreciate it. If something else comes up, if there's further discussion needed. I just want to address some of the comments that have been made. I may not have to vote tonight. I may vote tonight. I previously voted on the cannabis dispensary, and the characterization that it was turned down because it was in a residential neighborhood or there was residents above it is not. The reason I voted against it was because of the zoning districts, the way the 31st Street corridor is a different zoning district. It is a C4, C4 district, which is a different type of business district, and I voted against that cannabis dispensary because I didn't feel it met the requirements of the C4 zoning district. Ogden Avenue is a whole different corridor. For better, for worse, that's the way it was designed. That's the way the Planning and Zoning Commission adopted it. The village board adopted it. It's been a C2 district. It's meant for higher volumes of traffic and higher development. We have a specific Energize Ogden plan which counts on the traffic and the additional items or additional traffic and depth of lots and things to bring people to that corridor from not just within Brookfield, from outside of Brookfield. The state legalized cannabis years ago. It is extremely regulated. It's probably in many ways regulated more than alcohol. But I want to be clear, my vote on the cannabis dispensary on 31st Street was based on the zoning. This is a different zoning district, and it's not, there's no hiding. It's not saying it's on Du Bois, it's on Ogden. The address is on Ogden, and I personally was not fooled by any renderings or drawings by the applicant. I've been to that area. I'm in that area on a regular, if not daily basis. I know what's around the neighboring blocks, the neighboring business. We don't just sit here and rely on drawings. And when we have renderings from applicants, that is very common that they have their business and just put general backgrounds in the back. I wasn't fooled by that in any way. I know what's in the immediately adjacent district. I know what the plans are and the hopeful plans are for the metro station area and how it's evolved over the years. I mean, and in fairness to the public, you aren't aware and maybe can't be aware of how that's evolved over time. A lot of us had dreams and visions for what we wanted on that site. We actually commissioned a grocery store study to try and attract grocery stores to that area, and unfortunately, the market studies and what it shows is that's not a viable or feasible location for that. And all the requests for proposals that we've put out have not brought forward exactly what we want to this point, but most of it does involve, you know, high volume residential, making use of the train. So on one hand, I'm hearing that, you know, we're concerned about how much traffic, neighborhood traffic, that a cannabis dispensary is going to cause on the side streets, but we're getting chastised for not having a high volume luxury apartment building in the same block that's going to cause the similar things. That's a neighborhood that we've targeted for development. It is a specific area that's designed for that area, close to the train station, close to Ogden Avenue. So that's why I view it differently than previous cases. And to be clear, the situation with the cannabis dispensary on Prairie and Ogden, it's not that the applicant didn't meet the requirements. That was a previously approved site, and the applicant didn't meet the requirements, so the special use was extinguished. It wasn't a matter of that we didn't want it there, it's just it was no longer, they weren't in compliance, and in order to protect the village, we extinguished the right to a special use. So I just wanted to clarify my position on this. Do any other board members want to make comments?
I just wanted to, you just settled my comments, so thank you. President Garvey, I wanted to clarify that as well, that I voted in favor of the cannabis dispensary on the other Ogden location. I was very disappointed that it never came through. It's still an eyesore in my mind, but we do not own that property. So another owner owns that property, and they need to decide what they're going to do with that development. So I am in favor of this this new location. It is on Ogden. I helped with the Energize Ogden plan. This is going to energize that portion of Ogden and bring some new life to that section. And I understand, and I've heard everyone's comments, and I appreciate everyone different opinions on this. But I am really looking forward to seeing that part of Ogden have a new type of business. We have a lot of the same types of business in Ogden, and I'm looking forward to seeing that diversification of businesses.
Thank you. And you did remind me of two other things I wanted to address. And the board can correct me if wrong, there was no suggestion by any board member that the village paid to pave that alley. I think there was a suggestion or request that maybe the applicant or the property owner could work to pave the alley, but there's no intention of the board at this point to pave the alley for the applicant or anyone else in that area, separate from any other village-wide alley paving program that we don't have or may have in the future. That's not going to get preferential treatment, and there's no, and I don't hear any board members contradicting me. There was no intention or desire that we're going to pave that alley for an applicant or for anyone else. And then I forgot the other. Oh, in terms of directing any increased revenue that is realized by sales tax from this area, that is not something we do any other area. We're, as the very articulate young man said, we are one village. We're one village. Sales tax and village revenue is shared throughout the village. We don't, the people who live next to Brookfield Zoo don't get more revenue because Brookfield Zoo's next to them and they deal with the traffic from Brookfield Zoo. Some of our other larger sales tax generating, we don't specifically put more money into those specific areas. We are very transparent about our budget and what we do with our money and our sales tax and our revenue, but it's not, and I don't think it's a wise policy to say, well, if a particular block generates a certain amount of revenue, it stays in that area. There are things like impact fees on larger developments that might be targeted for a specific area of improvements, but our general policy has not been to target specific areas with revenue from businesses that are located in that area. Okay, any other questions or comments from the board?
Just one comment. I previously voted to approve a dispensary on Ogden and Prairie, and that one hasn't come to fruition. That's been kind of a frustrating process with that. I also previously voted to deny an application on 31st, similar to what President Garvey had mentioned, the zoning district, but also the specific location and configuration of that. At the parking lot, you had residential actually within the exact same building. We were dividing up a building in half that made the other half of the building probably not even usable anymore. It's a very different situation. We are looking at a special use for a specific location, and that's what we do in each of these votes.
Thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge all the concerns expressed by neighboring residents. I, too, live half a block from Ogden Avenue, not far from the proposed location, and a vape shop. I understand the importance of considering how new businesses may affect nearby homes and the character of the area. My kids also went to Congress Park and Park Junior and currently at LT. I love this neighborhood with all my heart and want to see only good things for the Ogden Avenue corridor. But it is a commercial corridor, and I view a regulated cannabis dispensary as a reasonable retail use in this context, As Trustee Kaluzny said, we have a lot of commercial businesses along the corridor, and I'm excited to see this new type of retail use to serve the community. And I actually think that this dispensary will benefit the community and the corridor. I voted 3 times now, or this will be my 3rd vote on a dispensary, all of which I voted to approve. So this remains a consistent vote for me, and I support this dispensary at this location.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, there's a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Ketchmark.
Aye.
Trustee Hendricks.
Aye.
Trustee Naramatsu.
Aye.
Trustee Gilhuli.
Aye.
Trustee Kaluzny.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you, and thank you, everyone, for the public input and comment, and we'll continue to enforce our policies and ordinances as we move forward. Okay, we're going to move on with the rest of the meeting. I know people are welcome to stay. We have other important things we're going to talk about. If anyone's leaving, I ask that you leave quietly so we still have a lot to do, and you're welcome to stick around. Okay, moving on to the next item. To entertain a motion to pass a resolution approving change order number 1 of the 2020 lead water service replacements Phase 1, resulting in a $303,485.25 decrease in the contract amount with 5 Star Energy Services, LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, there was a motion by Trustee Kaluzny, second by Trustee Naramatsu. As explained in the memo, this is, these next 3, Derek, do you want to just, we have Derek Treichel, our engineer. The board has a very detailed memo explaining, but maybe for the public, can you explain why we need these change orders?
Sure. These are known as balancing change orders. They come at the end of a project, and they basically reflect whether we had increases or decreases on all of the contract pay items. The reason they're all decreases is because when we go out for bid, if we plan on having 150 lead service replacements, it's much easier for us to reduce that number than to add a few if we find them out in the field. So we go in with a conservative number. So we didn't eliminate any of our original planned replacements. It's just that the cushion that we use, we didn't use the full cushion. So these are just the net reductions. IEPA requires that we execute these balancing change orders.
Thank you. Any questions of Derek? So this is specifically for the next 3 items, but they're all related. But we have a motion and a second on change order number 1. Is there any further questions or comments on the board? Okay, hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Ketchmark.
Aye.
Trustee Hendricks.
Aye.
Trustee Naramatsu.
Aye.
Trustee Gilhuli.
Aye.
Trustee Kaluzny.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, the next item, I entertain a motion to pass a resolution approving change order number 1 of the 2020 lead water service replacements Phase 2, resulting in a $447,067 decrease in the contract amount with 5 Star Energy Services, LLC.
So moved.
Second.
The motion was made by Trustee Gilhuli, second by Trustee Naramatsu. Any questions or comments on this change order? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Ketchmark.
Aye.
Trustee Hendricks.
Aye.
Trustee Naramatsu.
Aye.
Trustee Gilhuli.
Aye.
Trustee Kaluzny.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And then the last item, I entertain a motion to pass a resolution approving change order number 1 of the 2025 lead water service replacements Phase 3, resulting in a $223,329.05 decrease in the contract amount with 5 Star Energy Services, LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Trustee Kaluzny, second by Trustee Gilhuli. Any questions or comments on this resolution? Okay, hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Ketchmark.
Aye.
Trustee Hendricks.
Aye.
Trustee Naramatsu.
Aye.
Trustee Gilhuli.
Aye.
Trustee Kaluzny.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. That ends the items we have under regular business. Tim, do you have anything, manager's report? Okay, having no further business on the village board agenda at 8:09 PM, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn the village board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
The motion was made by Trustee Gilhuli, second by Trustee Naramatsu. Roll call, please.
Trustee Ketchmark.
Here.
Yes?
Oh, yes.
Trustee
I'm on the
Hendricks.
next meeting already.
Yes. Aye.
Trustee Naramatsu.
Aye.
Trustee Gilhuli.
Aye.
Trustee Kaluzny.
Aye.